14th in the last round on the Men's World Cup.
Welcome to Sports Bet Daily on behalf of SportsbookReview.com. Absolutely brilliant work from the team. They have found you sporting events all over the world so you can go and get your worms. Listen, there's no chance that we cannot find winners over the next couple of days. We've got snooker, we've got ex-professional snooker player and the master of the betting on green bays. We've got esports, and we've got a proper expert with a capital E in Adam Booth. Then we go to England and we found soccer in the National League, which is basically one below League 2. Then we go and have UFC with Jay Paglia, and at the end I've got a massive bonus for you, and that's why I'm sitting here. I'm going to leave a little bit room for my special guest. So if you thought there was nothing to bet on, think again, because everybody at sportsbookreview.com has come together and given me basically the ammunition for you to fire at your bookies. I'm going to start off with the Gibraltar Open and Craig Edwards. Craig, how are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good, Flash. You?
Yeah, I'm happier now that we've got this card together, and the good thing is that these matches that we're going to talk about, they're on Saturday night, so it gives everyone a little bit of time to digest on what you come up with. Now, what type of event is this, and is it one where you have a relative amount of success?
Yeah, it is. It's one of the lower tier events on the World Snooker Tour, and you've got a situation now with the coronavirus where some have pulled out, but Judd Trump's gone because he's chasing the bonus over the series with the Austrian Open, the German Masters and the Shootout, 150,000. Neil Robertson wasn't too worried about the 150,000, but he's left it there for Judd Trump to win if he wins it. So he's got maximum motivation, and he's not worried about mixing it, Judd Trump. And yeah, you've got an interesting dynamic because some players are really desperate for the money, which equates to ranking points, which will keep them on tour. And they've lost the China Open coming up after next week. We've got the World Tour Championship for the top 8 that World Snooker's still committed to, and then they've lost the China Open, so that's put the lower ranked players under a little bit of pressure now, and so there's a lot to play for, and there's some players that are slightly more motivated than others.
Yeah, I mean, I look down at what you've given me, and there's some massive value. Let's just kick straight off with Billy Joe Castle to beat Sam Craigie at 3.2, which is plus 220.
Yeah, well, Billy Joe, I've been kind of following him a while. Quite like him. I quite like the way he plays. He's very relaxed. And last year he fell off the tour. He went straight to Q School and he got straight back on it. He's a young lad, so kind of took him a while this season to get going, but he's been going to Sight Right, which is a revolutionary style of coaching compared to when I was playing, and it's all to do with the sighting. And they basically, Mark Williams gives them the kudos for the resurgence in his game, and Ronnie O'Sullivan speaks highly of them, and David Gilbert, they've revamped him into a top player, and so he's gone there and he's quietly started to win matches, build up his confidence. I mean, the key thing here though, he's going up in the world and he's playing the lad Sam Craigie that's on a losing run of 6 or 7 matches, it's from 6 or 7 matches, you've got a situation where he's desperate now for ranking points, and it's only a year ago that he reached the quarterfinal of the China Open, and people were talking about him making the top 32. Now, a year later, he's under all sorts of pressure, and he just seems to have lost the thread totally. So you're getting 220 on a guy that's in way better form and frame of mind. Plus, they have played each other once before, and Castle did win, so that'll help him. And yeah, it's just an easy bet to me. It's the best bet on the card tomorrow.
Okay, so I'm already starring that one. We love that. So that's Billy Joe Castle to beat Sam Craigie at 3.2, which is plus 220. Just quickly though, Craig, before we go on to the others, how many is it? Is it best of 5?
It's best of 7 right the way through this one. Best of 7, including the final, from 128 players. So they'll play 2 or 3 matches tomorrow, and then it all plays down on Sunday. It's a really quick tournament, and quite odd in that dynamic, in the fact that the winner could play 4 matches on Sunday. But you know, they're playing for £50,000 and the ranking points, so a lot of players that are grateful to be playing in it.
Yeah, especially when some have dropped out. Now, Simon Lichtenberg to win frame 1 against Elliot Schlesner at 2.5. So that is to win frame 1, not to win 1 frame.
Yeah, I've been following him all season. German lad, he is actually, it's very difficult for the overseas players because they don't get brought up in snooker clubs. So they don't get exposed to good players young. And when you get exposed to good players, without knowing it, you probably were the same at Football Flash. You pick up all the good traits off them and things, and little things in break building. But he has started to string some results together. But the most encouraging thing about Simon Lichtenberger is won something like his last 7 frame 1s, and I've been backing him against people like Joe Perry, Ali Carter at 3-1 and things like that. Elliot Schlesner's not the quickest starter. I fancy Elliot Schlesner to win the match, but it's just an easy bet to have the German lad Lichtenberger to win frame 1.
Yeah, and there's 2 bets in one because you could have Lichtenberger to win frame 1, but Elliot Schlesner to win the tie. Remember, it's best of 7. Now, Li Hang to beat Alex Borg 4-0 at 2.45. Not messing about here, Craig. Straight in, 4 against the Bagel.
Yeah, been following this bet all season. Well, Alex Borg has been. He started playing when I fell off the tour. Well, I didn't fall off the tour. I kind of gave up, but he carried on playing, and he's not. I've got to say, I never thought of him as a particularly great player then, in terms of his position on break building. But he went on to have quite a good career, and after dropping off for a few years and playing amateur, he went to Q School last year, and managed to get through, having lost in the first Q Schools 4-0 and 4-0. He managed to win 6 matches in the last one. He got going, and in doing so, he just got on a roll and got his card back. But of course, he's not really competing in any of the matches. He's lost a lot of 6-0s to Robertson and people. And from a betting point of view, he's a dream. I will say this: if people can get on the Asian handicap with Bet365, it's 3.25. You'll only lose half your stake if Hang wins 4-1, and that is the real safe option. They've only just opened that line tonight, so I would encourage people to take that line. But I'm happy either way, and yeah, Li Hang, dependable player. He's got everything to play for as well in his ranking and his points, and he's just a professional's professional, so you expect him to be able to do the job, really.
Okay, and the last one we're going to go with is near enough a coin flip, and you've got Robert Milkins to beat Zhao Guodong at 2.2, which is plus 120. Yeah,
Milkins is the same form line as Billy Joe Castle, except years ago he played. He reached number 12 in the world rankings, and you know, that's only 6 years ago. He was in the top 16, and he's fallen away, but he does have the pedigree. Now, Zhao Guodong is now 30. He's a really steady grinder. But the interesting thing is, he's not bothered going to Gibraltar for the last 3 seasons, and that suggests that he's never really wanted to go there, and he's going this season out of kind of having to, feeling like he needs the ranking points. Whereas Milkins had a bad start to the season, sought out sight right, and they have suddenly started to string matches together. Having taken a while to get used to it, he's a very fluent player. And actually, in pedigree terms, he's a better player than Gudong, even though their recent form wouldn't suggest it. So I'm happy to take that. I priced it up pretty much a coin flip. So I'm happy to take the small value on Milkins.
Yeah, coin flips normally like -110, -105, and you're getting +120, so you're already ahead. And Milkins, he actually does turn up in some of the tournaments, the big tournaments as well, and he has been known to get a few beat. So Billy Joe Castle at +220 is your best bet, Craig?
Without doubt, yeah. It just seems that you've got two players on opposite planes, and at this stage of the season, very often it can be very difficult to shake off a poor run of form that Sam Craigie's been in. So, yeah, it's a pretty straightforward match. I mean, I would have been tempted by Billy Joe Castle at 2.2 to 120. So 220 is, yeah, I'm happy. If you're going to have a big stake, then that's the one to do it on.
Okay, that's absolutely brilliant, Craig. Hopefully I'll get to speak to you in a couple of weeks when we can obviously continue with snooker, and we'll maybe get the golf back on, because that's what we was also going to talk about today. We don't really want to talk about that when we were both on Si Woo Kim. Triple high digits, and he shot 65 in the first round. But Craig, until next time, absolute gent, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks, Flash.
No problem at all. So that's Craig Edwards, ex-professional snooker player and the master at betting on the green bays, giving you 4 selections there. And a bonus 5th, because he says that Elliot Slesser will probably go on and win the match against Lichtenberg. Now, from there, in Gibraltar in Europe, we're going to go to America with Esports, and we've got the CSGO, and it's Flashpoint 1. We're going to go Esports. We've got to be talking to Adam Booth, who's an expert with a capital E, Adam.
Yeah, it's wonderful to be back. I saw the lineup for the Sportsbet Daily Show, and it was like we're having a little reunion here today. I mean, under not the greatest reasoning, but it's nice to see Jay and Russ and Craig, of course, popping up on the card today. So everybody's still finding their little niche to share, and I hope that the audience will take a look at some of these other sort of non-mainstream markets and hopefully make some money over the break.
Yeah, well, we are ahead of the curve, to be honest, and that's another reason you should subscribe, press the button, like what we're doing, because esports will become a household, I wouldn't say a household sport, I would say a household event to bet on. I mean, it's getting bigger and bigger, maybe. The money's getting massive. We are absolutely way ahead of the curve, Adam.
I agree. And, you know, the last year when you and I had a chat about it, you told me that when you had a broken leg when you were taking a break from professional football, you picked up a little bit of video gaming and had a bit of a clan and took a look there. It's a good time, you know, with it being at least a month with, you know, NBA and NHL. There's some very prominent CSGO leagues that are starting up actually this week. And so the timing in that sense is quite perfect. And one of them announced that they're just going to move to online as opposed to having an actual audience. They're just going to do all of their matches online. So the players, if they, you know, don't need to travel or can't travel, they can still compete and earn a living. So, yeah, so we can jump into the matches if you're ready, Flash.
Yeah, I was just going to let you know that my girlfriend's actually got a Clash of Clans, a bit of action tonight at 8 p.m. I was going to periscope it, but she said no in case she gets beat, although she doesn't get beat very often. Very, very shrewd, that girl.
Good stuff. That's
I know, yeah, it's great.
Esports, isn't
it's
it?
great, honestly. It's one of those where more and more people are going to get involved and more people are going to find a way to make money. Let's kick straight into the action, though. Havu plus 1.5 at -150 looks like a shoo-in.
Yeah, and you couldn't have said it at a better time. It actually just ended 2 minutes ago. Havu took the first map of the series. They were down 11-4 at halftime on Nuke, and they put together a brilliant comeback and came back to win 16-13. So that plus 1.5, I did post it on Twitter earlier this afternoon. Yeah. You would have missed it, but there's another match kicking off a little bit later today It's the Copenhagen Flames taking on Contact. And that is going to be starting in about an hour and 45 minutes. That's the scheduled time at the moment. If you do want to hop on the Havu match, it's just headed to map 2, which is like saying set 2 in tennis. So there's probably no value in taking Havu moneyline at the moment. But if it draws 1-1, jump on Havu moneyline, headed to map 3 or set 3, as you'd say in tennis. That's the scoring is similar in that respect. So that match is kind of you're gonna have to watch it live to see what the scoring's like. But with this Copenhagen Flames game, I've taken the Flames as a small underdog at +125, and they're playing a team called Contact, who is favored based on their pedigree, their historical pedigree. They've got some very talented players, but they haven't played as 5 on land so far in 2020. And their map pool is unknown, and I just think the price is far too short. Copenhagen Flames have already been playing in the major qualifiers. They've been competing in online tournaments. And so their map pool is known, and breaking it down, it might go 3. They might lose it in 3, but they look more solid as a cohesive unit so far this year. And as a plus number, that's always something I'll take a look at.
How long will it take a team like Contact to gel when they've got new people in?
Well, so I'd say there's about 3 or 4 of them who've been playing with each other for a little while now. Very talented, but sometimes what is lacking is the strategic aspect. There was a in-game leader called Kerrigan who has led some of the best teams in the world, and he was quoted as saying a year ago or so, it takes about 3 months for a team to really get down a legitimate 5 map pool and some good strats on those maps to sort of compete internationally and not just look out of your element, because you can't go into a series at this level of Counter-Strike assuming that you can win it just off of your aim or your firepower, your technical ability with the mouse and keyboard. You actually have to be cohesive as a unit and know, okay, if a player is throwing a flashbang into the site, which angle am I going to peek at what time? Is the spacing as we enter the bomb site too far or too close where a player is going to pick us off one by one, or can I trade that kill? So, and I know a lot of this language is going to sound very alien, but I've written a number of articles on the SBR site. Please get in touch with me at any point and I can send those to you. It might sound intimidating at the moment, but it's not. It really, once you just start to hear a little bit of the language and you get familiarized with the basic markets, it's very straightforward.
Okay, and what have we got coming up after this week?
We got, so the Flashpoint tournament is running Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday ESL Pro League is starting up, and that's a big one. ESL Pro League, ESL is the biggest name in esports as far as companies that put on the tournaments. They have moved their league to online matches, but they're continuing for the next month. And so I've spoken with SBR, and it looks like we've got the green light to do daily articles for the CSGO content. So I will be trying to post it same time every day. Many big books in the States and around the world are offering esports. They have been for, better part of 5-10 years now. So if you need help finding a market, finding the specific tournament like ESL Pro League, just get in touch. It's going to be a full pack month of esports. There's no breaks. Coronavirus has not affected our industry whatsoever. Well, it hasn't affected enough that we're not going to get some action down.
Okay, if you do me a favour, obviously on SBR Sports Picks, which is the Twitter handle for sportsbookreview.com, when we've posted out today, if you could just sort of maybe retweet and add the comment of, if you need anything on esports, then please give me a follow. Secondly, you can go over, we had Craig on. Craig writes articles on snooker and on the golf. You got Adam, who does esports, and he does the hockey. No good at the hockey at the moment, although I see, Adam, and I will be calling you, there might be some Swedish ice hockey next week. So I might be testing you depending on on whether it gets the go-ahead. But just make sure that everyone is aware and they are well open to asking you as many questions as possible, but do go over to sportsbookreview.com and have a look at their articles, informative. And times like this, it pays to have knowledge in other sports, Ad.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and I mean, you couldn't have foreseen a benefit of betting esports being this, but I've been saying I bet esports like I bet tennis. It's a year-round thing. I have more volume in esports than any other traditional sport because there's just so much to choose from. So you're absolutely right. I appreciate you having me on today, Flash. I hope we'll do it again next week.
Yeah, I look forward to that. It's one of those where if I just go through it, you know, they're already 1-up, but get and have a look, because if it goes 1-1, then the value will be there for them to win the final. And you've got Copenhagen Flames to take over a better side, but a side that may not be on their game today in contact.
That's right.
And Copenhagen Flames are plus 125. Ad, take care, keep up the great work, and I enjoy reading your articles and keep sending them over to me.
Thanks so much, mate. Talk later.
Good luck, Ad. So Ad is our esports expert with the capital E. What he don't know about it is not worth knowing. Now, going back home now, I'm going home to England, and we've got the National League Soccer. Massive league this. This is the league where if you win it, you go into the main football league. And a lot of the teams in this league have actually been in the main league for the last maybe 4 or 5 years, and they've dropped out, and it's that competitive. Russ is going to talk me through it. Russ, how does the National League fixtures survive?
It's beyond everyone's control. It's totally unprecedented, never been seen before. Obviously, the Premier League and the EFL made their call this morning to cancel their games. It seems from a few journalists that they wanted the games to go ahead, but because of Mikel Arteta and I think a Leicester and Watford player, their hands were forced, which means that 8 of the 10 games would have been called off. But the National League, I spoke to the CEO and the media PR guy this afternoon, and they've just gone by what the government have said. So the games will continue.
And will they be going behind closed doors, or will the fans be able to watch?
The fans will be able to watch.
Okay, and I've got to let everybody know that this National League is no Mickey Mouse going on here, by the way. This is a massively bet league. Each individual game will have millions or hundreds of thousands bet on it. This is not obscure in any way. And let me tell you now, we are not guessing, all right? This is not like we've just plucked this out. These games, I love them, and we know a lot about them. We're going to start off with Notts County. Minus 120 to beat Eastleigh. Let me tell you now, Eastleigh Football Club, there's about 700 or 800 yards from my house. My old house.
There you go. There you go, Flash. Love that. Look, Notts County are on fire now. They've won 3 on the spin. They recently won 2-0 at leaders Barrow. It took them time to get going in the National League, as you know, Flash. But now with Neil Ardley on board, they can see the finishing line. They must finish in the playoffs. They are going to finish in the playoffs. And with the capacity crowd that they have at home and the following that they have, they want to be going to Wembley for the promotion final in May and then get back to the Football League. I think they'll win this comfortably at minus 120. It's a nice bet to give us a good return.
Yeah, Eastleigh, too many lone players for me. I know that obviously they're close to Southampton, they're close to Bournemouth, so they like to try and grab the Bournemouth youngsters. Obviously, I was very close to one of them, and he got a bad hamstring injury, so he's seasoned. But really, they're not going to be strong enough against Notts County. So Notts County at minus 120 is great. Before we go on to your next one, I'm just going to pick your brains. I haven't got the graphic for this, but you mentioned the leaders, Barrow. Barrow at home to Wrexham, and I believe Barrow around minus 180, which is 4-7.
Yeah, look, Barrow, they can see the finishing line ahead of them. They've been ahead for probably 3 or 4 months. The confidence is there. I interviewed Scott Quigley and Rooney's brother. They were very confident. They drew at Sutton when we spoke with them both. And look, they've got a fantastic team. They've done really well this year. They're the best team in the league. They deserve to win the league. Look, Wrexham will come and try and spoil the party, so Harrogate can potentially close the gap. But Barrow should get this done. But look, obviously with the coronavirus, look, all players should be fit, and Barrow will look to take advantage.
Yeah, and Russ obviously said there that Barrow, they drew with Sutton. Sutton, they play on an artificial surface, and the reason they survive is because they play at home on that surface, and that gives them the points. Now, good bit of value here. I've seen there's been a bit of money for this one, and that's Stockport plus 163 to beat Maidenhead United.
Yeah, look, Maidenhead, they're on a horrible run of form. They've lost 4 at home. Sorry, they've lost 4 in a row. 3 of them have come at home. And when you think home advantage, the team should be doing better home v away. It's not the case for Maidenhead. Look, they're lucky they got enough points on the board that they could well survive. So they're struggling at the bottom half of the table. Stockport, they came up from the National League North, and they're flying at the minute. Unbeaten in 5, won 2 of them. They're not conceding many goals. They're scoring enough to win the game. They've also got a good support, like Notts County, so they'll be taking quite a few, I would have thought, to Maidenhead. And I think a road win and away win for Stockport at 163, they can definitely get the job done here.
Okay, and the other game I was going to be, I've got a couple more, and I've got one, my own special one, which I love, and again, it's quite close to where I came from in South London, North Kent. In fact, I'll go with that one first. It's Bromley at home to Chorley. It's Bromley 1.5, which is minus 200. Draw 4.2, which is plus 320. And Chorley at 6.0, which is plus 500. Now, Chorley, not bad at home. Chorley going to Bromley will probably take them about 5 hours. And I've got Bromley minus 1 at 2.4, which is plus 140, Russ.
Yeah, look, Bromley, they were the team that everyone thought were going to win the National League. They started the league like a house on fire. I think they had 1 defeat in 14 or 15. They've struggled over the latter part of the season. But look, Chorley, they're at the foot of the table. They're not a good side. Unfortunately, they're going to get relegated. They've had some good wins this year. But look, coming up against Bromley, I think Bromley are just picking up a bit of form of late. And yeah, look, they can get the job done here and they can win convincingly. So yeah, Flash, that's a good bet for me.
Yeah, and the thing is, they're minus 200 just on the money line. But minus 1 at plus 140, I could not believe it. So what I've done is, I've gone with Barrow at minus 180. I've put your Notts County in at minus 120. And I've put Bromley in at minus 200 for a money line parlay. Obviously, you can play this back because these games are not on till tomorrow and they're openly available on all markets. But remember, Bromley minus 1, 2.4 at plus 140. And Russ, do you think that we're going to get like just a continuation of the National League, or do you think that it could be suspended after this weekend's fixtures?
I think it obviously depends what the government prerogative is and whether obviously Boris Johnson says that sporting events must be cancelled. I also think that it depends on the teams. The teams can call a general meeting with the National League whenever they want, like Premier League clubs did. And that then may force their hand. But the National League will, I would have thought, follow the government instructions. And if they can continue, they will.
Okay, and I nearly forgot. You've got another little game up your sleeve because you gave me Boreham Wood. Boreham Wood, obviously, they host Arsenal's reserves and their youth teams and everything else, close affinity with Arsenal. Arsenal, obviously, under the coronavirus sanction. So they've actually called their game off. So instead of Boreham Wood, what have you got for me?
We're going with plus 100 AFC Fylde to beat Aldershot. AFC Fylde, they won the FA Trophy last year. They got to the promotion final last year. They had Danny Rowe that was in scintillating form. They were the team that everyone felt this year they were going to challenge for the title. But unfortunately, they didn't start too great. And obviously, because expectations were so high, Flash, as you know, obviously being in football, once you have one great season, all the fans and the management and the owners expect the following year to be as successful. It didn't happen for AFC Fylde. They didn't start so well. and now they're sitting in the relegation zone. So from one match away from promotion to the Football League, now they're in relegation fodder. They did have a fantastic away win at Dagenham Redbridge, winning 2-1 midweek. And look, they need all the points they can get, and they'll be right up for this. So I think they can make home advantage count and beat Aldershot, who, like Maidenhead, are not on a good run of form. I think they've lost 2 in a row, and they're not playing well at all.
Russ, what price were they?
It's plus 100.
Plus 100, even money for the home win. Now, coming up, normally you, or not normally, also you cover the darts and also you cover the rugby union, the Six Nations. What have we got coming up on the darts?
It all depends on the coronavirus. I think a few darts events will be postponed. Obviously, big crowds that they have, whether it's in the UK or they go on the road to Holland for the international side of the Premier League. And rugby, again, we're just waiting to see what happens. I think there's a few games to go in the Six Nations. So as and when we get that back up and running, we'll be more than happy to be back on Sports Bet Daily with our picks and tips.
So is the Premier League expected to be like every Thursday? I know they played last night. I know that MVG, he delivered again, beating Gerwyn Price and had a healthy average as well.
Yeah, the Premier League is 6 weeks in of 16 weeks, and then the week after that, which is usually the final Thursday in May, is the Premier League final. So again, we'll have to catch the news, and if the Premier League of darts can continue, as I said, we'll be there with some preview and tips like we were last year.
Russ, how's the girl getting on?
Which one?
The girl in the Premier League.
Yeah, absolutely fine. Yeah,
okay.
Not bad at all.
No, yeah, well, I mean, she's the first female to actually get into the Premier League, wasn't she? After her doing so well in the World Championships?
Yeah, Fallon Sherrock, she was phenomenal over Christmas and New Year, getting, I think, through to the quarter-final stage. She played her contender match, so she was only in the Premier League for 1 week, of which she drew 6-all against Michael Smith, I believe. So she'll now take a back seat until she's due to be in New York for a big tournament later this year. So yeah, we'll be following her footsteps to see how she gets on. Okay,
Russ, thanks for everything, mate. Looking forward to that. Liking your AFL Fired. Now, Fold is spelled F-L-Y-D-E. If you can't understand Russ's English accent, which not many of us can. So listen, good luck to you, my lad, and let's hope they all win. You take care.
Brilliant. Cheers, Flash. Good luck to everyone. Stay safe.
Yeah, obviously. Thanks for that, Russ. So Russ is now looking after us for the National League. He's come up with some worms there. Now, the big one for us all on this side of the pond is UFC Brasilia. I'm talking UFC. So I've got to have my old mate, Jay, UFC, no crowd, but plenty fights.
What's up, buddy? Yeah, it's actually the best fight night card we've had in probably a year, not counting pay-per-view cards. So, God willing, we actually have it tomorrow night because the coronavirus has taken everything from us. But hopefully we have it. But yeah, I'm excited. It should be a good one.
Okay, and there's much value to be had because I know you and your little mate, you're like Batman and Robin every week, dogs and their odds. You keep picking up plenty units.
Yeah, my guy, my MMA partner, Dave, he kills it with the dogs and their odds. He's got the punching parlay. I think there's some value spots. I haven't capped the entire card yet, but I've got a couple fights for you. Kevin Lee, Charles Oliveira, that's the main fight actually tomorrow night. It's an interesting fight at lightweight for sure. Kevin Lee's a top 8 fighter in the division. He's coming off a beautiful head kick knockout over Gregor Gillespie. It was beautiful, but the problem with Kevin Lee is he's incredibly inconsistent. He's one of the better wrestlers at 155. He has a great double leg takedown in his arsenal. A lot of wrestlers are not that great at striking, but Kevin Lee is actually a decent striker. He has solid technique, very solid power for the division. He's had some stamina issues in the past, but not awful cardio. But he does have a crackable chin. He's been knocked out multiple times, so it's a potential issue. His opponent, Charles Oliveira, very underrated fighter in the UFC. He holds the UFC record for most submission victories inside the cage in the history of the promotion. He's got 15 finishes in the UFC, which is the second. But he's got stamina for days, and he's got excellent fight IQ. So when I think who wins the fight, most people are taking Kevin Lee, but I don't think I could do it. Lee's the favorite, but he's, like I said, ridiculously inconsistent. He does not go for takedowns as often as he should, and it's his best strength, and he needs to use it more. He's really aggressive, and I can totally see him making that one mistake that it takes for Charles Oliveira to find his back or neck or leg to grab a submission on Lee. The guy's the best submission artist to ever walk inside the cage, and I think if we're talking about results, he's the best. So Lee comes in heavy. He missed weight, so I don't know where his head's at. I think it's an even fight. So give me the dog at plus 125 with Charles Oliveira.
So obviously being priced at 125, it's not far off a pick'em, so you're getting all the value as well.
Yeah. And that's what we do, right? As handicappers, Flash. If they're dead even, you take the plus money. No matter
every
what
single day.
At, right?
So you're in front there at plus 125. What's the other one you've got for me?
Yeah, I got two more. Nikita Krylov versus Johnnie Walker. We actually talked about both these fighters on the old odds market show with Dave. Yeah. This fight will be an exciting fight because any fight that Johnnie Walker is in is an exciting fight, right? Johnnie Walker, one of the great raw prospects that this lightweight division has to offer. Light heavyweight, I'm sorry. He's huge, 6'5". He's got the power of a Mack truck. His technique is not great, but he's very unpredictable, and it causes a ton of scrambles in the cage. And he is very good at finding his opponent's chin in the scramble. He has a loss his last time out against Corey Anderson. I don't hold that loss against him. Anderson, one of the best fighters right now in the UFC at 205 pounds. Walker has impressive wins over Misha Serkinov. He's got another great win over Khalil Roundtree. So Walker beats who he's supposed to beat almost all the time. His opponent, another guy we talked about in the past, Nikita Krylov, very solid striker that I was pretty high on going into his last fight with Glover Teixeira, but he did not impress me all that much. He looked slow. His footwork looked bad. He was gassed, and I just wasn't that impressed. So Krylov is another raw light heavyweight that's just gaining his footing in the division, and I think at this point in time, Johnnie Walker's power and his striking should win the day here. He is minus 145, so I think that's a fair price for the advantage that he should have in the cage. So
yeah, I mean,
give me Johnnie Walker.
Jay, was you expecting him to be around minus 200 or minus 200 plus?
Yeah, if I was setting the line, Flash, I would have probably set the line at minus 180 based on what I saw Nikita Krylov do his last time out against a very old Glover Teixeira. So, yeah. One more, the co-main event, Damian Maia versus Gilbert Burns. This should be a good one, man, especially on the mat. Two incredible Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighters. Damian Maia, an ageless wonder. God knows how old he is, like 42 or whatever he is. I thought he was too old to compete in the octagon 2 years ago, and all the guy does is cost me money. He proves me wrong every time. So as a diehard fan, I have an incredible amount of respect for the guy, probably the greatest Brazilian jiu-jitsu artist in the history of the UFC after the Gracie family. The problem is he's always been god-awful at striking. but it never matters because he gets you to the ground. He chokes you out every single fight he takes, right? His opponent, Gilbert Burns, very solid striker. He's got real power. He's got some technique and footwork. But that's not the best thing he does in the cage. Burns himself, like Damian Maia, a 3-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion. So it should be a chess match on the ground, right? And, you know, when you take that into consideration, you take Gilbert Burns a lot younger. You take the fact into consideration that he's got real power and some solid technique as a striker, and he should match Damian Maia on the mat. I have to take Gilbert Burns. Now, he's a favorite. He's minus 175. You could find him at in some spots. But I just can't see Damian Maia doing it again. And you know what? If he costs me money again, he costs me money again. Eventually, the guy's going to lose. He's going to hit the wall.
Jay, I wrote down stalemate, just as you were saying, a chess match. Do you think that there's value in this going the distance?
Yes. If it goes to the ground, yeah, I think it goes. I think it goes 15 minutes. Yeah. Can Gilbert Burns knock Damian Maia out on the feet? It's possible, but I expect it to get to the ground. And if it does get to the ground, it should go the distance. And I'm happy you said that because the fight that we just spoke about, Nikita Krylov, Johnnie Walker, there is no chance that fight goes the distance.
Yeah,
Nikita Krylov has 32 fights. All 32 have finished inside the distance.
Yeah, see, we love that, and that's what we're needing to unearth, because when we look at this one here between Maia and Burns, and you think it's going to go to the distance, obviously it's 5 3-minute rounds, then you're thinking the handicap's probably going to be under or over 3.5 rounds. So you take the over, or you just basically take one of them to win on a decision and just juice up to the positive. So you think that if I put a gun to your head, you think Burns over the distance?
Yeah. If you put a gun to my head, I say the age and his striking gives him the advantage because he matches Maia on the mat. So yeah, Burns, and it probably goes the distance.
Okay, to all of them people that love their UFC, I've got a massive treat for you because this week I'm going to do a show with Jay and Dave because it's massive next week. So we're going to have a UFC special edition on the O2 London. Next weekend, it's going to be absolutely bonkers. Looking forward to that, Jay.
Love you, buddy. I'm hoping I see you on Liveline over the weekend betting some horses with me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it was a bit unlucky today. I gave quite a few people the runner-up in the Gold Cup, lost by a head, got blocked. And another 10 yards, he goes and win, and that was at plus 600. And obviously, I gave a little plus 100 who had an armchair ride over at Lingfield. America's a little bit different, but just say about the live line. We've got NASCAR on Sunday as well, Jay, and that's another one that you farm.
No, they cancelled it, Flash.
No way. They've cancelled car driving?
Yep. They won't even let you drive in a car over here.
Wow. So what have you actually got on over the weekend, or are you just going to go with the nags?
Well, we'll have tomorrow. We'll have the UFC event, so we'll have live line around 2:30.
Excellent.
So we'll have the UFC event tomorrow, and we'll bet some horses. And on Sunday, we may have another show betting the ponies, but we're not sure yet.
Okay, then what I'll do is I'll do some homework for maybe on Sunday to join you for the horses, and if I can't join you, I will still give you my information. But Jay, as always, partner, love your work. Look forward to next week. Have a great night tomorrow night, and remember, Charles Oliveira, Johnnie Walker, and Gilbert Burns are the selections. And remember, it's just not all about the winning, it's how they win as well. So maybe go over the 3.5 rounds in the Burns-Maia fight, and definitely don't go to distance in Krylov versus Walker. Till next time, Jay, I'll see you soon.
I love you, bud.
Cheers, mate. So that's the Sports Keg CEO, who's obviously going to be doing live line, and we worked all season. Now, my little special guest. I said to you, I've been digging up worms. I've been finding sports. Da 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 da. Where are you going? Bring your chair in. We are going Mexico.
Canta y no llores.
Ba 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 ba. And we're going football. We're going Liga MX. And
I am ready. You're ready?
Oh, of course I'm ready. I love
the
anything.
only thing that basically left standing. Bundesliga off.
Oh, is Bundesliga off now as well?
Yes. Also League One in France.
Yeah, but we found some soccer in the UK.
There's always some soccer.
They don't even wear shin pads in that league, and the crowd are allowed in.
Which one? In
the National League?
That's like the lowest.
No, not the lowest. It's only it's like the fourth division.
Fourth division.
Yeah, still beat any of these Mexican sides.
Nah, I don't think so.
No?
No, I think these teams are like, well, maybe some of them are championship level, maybe.
Yeah, the Pumas are decent.
America, Cruz Azul, also Tigres. Tigres has a very decent team. They have this French forward, Gignac. He used to play for the national team in France, so he's actually a good player. They have good players. They have a lot of money.
Yeah, a lot of money in Mexico. Mexico is probably one of the richest South America. Is Mexico, is it South America or is it Central America?
It's North America.
It's still North America.
Yes,
See, look at that. A geography lesson here on sportsbookreview.com. So we're going to crack straight on Liga MX, and we're going to start off with CF America at 2.3, which is 130. The draw at 3.0, which is plus 200. And Cruz Azul at 3.1, plus 210.
Listen, at home, America has not lost a game against Cruz Azul in the last 9 encounters. But Cruz Azul has a winning streak of 7 wins in a row. They are playing mighty football right now in Cruz Azul. So it's going to be a very interesting game, very fun. Mexican Football League is a very fun game. It's a very dynamic, ida y vuelta, how we say it in Spanish, like up and down. It's very fast football.
Like a basketball match.
Exactly.
And then there is no basketball, so let's get the basketball in the link.
So, my pick is both teams to score at 1.72, but also I'm going to put a unit in Cruz Azul to win. I'm not making both of them together, both teams to score and Cruz Azul to win, because it's a little bit risky, but hey man, if you go ahead. I bet it's a great value on it. So yeah, I'm choosing both teams to score. One pick, and the other one will be Cruz Azul to win.
Win away from home. Yeah, I mean, listen, the bookies are like not happy with America. CF America being at home at 2.3 plus 130. The other thing I'd say about Mexican football is they're very tight games until one of the teams goes up, and then all hell can break loose.
This is like a derby.
Right.
This is like derby.
Even tighter then.
So, but there a lot of times happens that there's a lot of goals.
Right. Okay.
Well, it's inconsistent. It's weird, but it's gonna be a fun game. I really recommend it.
Okay, and let's go on to the next game, because the next game has got 2 of the oldest Mexican sides, and people will know all about this from probably Mexico '86, because they were both hosting games, and that's Guadalajara at 2.6 plus 160, draw 3.3 plus 230, and Monterrey at 2.9 plus 190. Everything points to the unders and the draw.
This Guadalajara, Chivas Guadalajara, or Monterrey Rayados. The guys of El Turco Mohamed is the coach of Monterrey. He's from Argentina. They are not doing very good away, outside their home. This season, they have 0 wins outside their home, the Monterrey team. So I'm choosing the Chivas to win at 2.6.
Wow.
Guadalajara has a winning streak of 3 matches. They are playing good football. They are looking solid. I expect also an under.
Yeah.
2.5.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yes.
under all day long for me. I'm looking at it and thinking. First of all, am I right in saying that Guadalajara is so high up, and it's altitude, and it's hard to go there? You're breathing out your backside after about 25 minutes. I know that the Mexicans are used to it, but it's a massive price. It's 2.6 plus 160 on the home win. Everything sort of points to a 0-0, 1-1.
I hope it's a 1-0.
No, obviously. And a 1-0 for number 1, my word. I mean, there'll be party at your house.
Yeah. I will make it help, but alone because you know the virus and.
Yeah, you do it on your own. But even if there weren't a virus, you'd be at home and on your own.
I'm gonna be on my own.
Good man,
good
man. Okay, good game this one. I mean, she's probably, I would say your banker, and it's not even anywhere near a trap, and that's Leon at 1.83 minus 120, draw 3.8 plus 280, and the Pumas at 4.2, which is plus 320.
Leon to win at 1.83. Pumas hasn't won any of the last 3 games against Leon. I'm expecting this may be one of the. I said with Tigres, maybe one of the easiest picks to do because I think Leon is looking solid, is good, and Pumas doesn't fare very well on the Leon home.
No, I was close to saying that maybe even if you wanted to be brave, it's Leon and over 1.5 goals, or Leon win to 0 because they can shut up shop.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, you'd love that again.
Interesting, but I'm staying with it.
Both teams to score, no. There's loads of different bets and different ways to go, so make sure you watch this back. Now, Tigres, the shortest team on the card at 1.57, minus 175, draw 3.8 plus 280, and Juarez at 7.0 plus 600. And it is Juarez or Juarez?
Juarez.
So Juarez.
Juarez.
How Juarez?
Football Club Juarez.
How
and
Juarez?
Tigres. Tigres over 1.5 at 1.90. Tigres home record this season is 3-1. Tigres home record is 3 wins and no losses.
Yeah, they're strong.
They haven't lost this season in their home. And Tigres haven't lost any of the last home matches. And the last 2 games at Tigres, all of them end up with over 3 goals. So there's not a lot of margin of winning on the Tigres straight win. I think it's 1.50 something, right?
157 minus 175.
But the Tigres over 1.5 is definitely very interesting. I think it's a solid pick, and it's my banker.
Yeah, 1.9. We love that as a banker, but I'll just run through them again. We got America versus Cruz Azul. Both teams to score at 1.72, and a little unit on the away win at 3.1, which is plus 210. Guadalajara to win at a massive 260 plus 160 from number 1. I want nothing to do with that one because I fancy that's a little 1-1 draw, and Leon 1.83. Don't complicate it, and if you want to be brave, go Leon and over 1.5, or win to 0, or both teams to score. No, I think the home side are very strong there.
Yeah, and Tigres is definitely one of the strongest teams in Mexico.
Yeah, and obviously and Tigres over 1.5. Tigres and over 1.5 at 1.9 is your banker.
Yeah, it is definitely my banker. It has great value, and I think is a straight pick.
Okay, I really appreciate you flying in all the way
from Mexico.
From Mexico. Okay, thank you very much for joining us.
Tacos, my friend.
I've got to salute all of my teammates on getting these games and finding out where we can find worms to eat. Because even a fat man like me has to eat worms. So this has been Sports Bet Daily for sportsbookreview.com. Remember, subscribe, press the thumbs up, ring the bell, and we'll let you know whenever our content is coming online. You can obviously follow us on YouTube and get ready. We'll follow us on Twitter over the weekend and we'll give you massive updates. And on Monday, we start again. But remember, already I'm going to commit to the special UFC special edition next week as we go to London and the O2. Until then, I'll see you soon.